Capture video.
Start the upload.
Which upload?
For
Well, I'm not certain. Let's we'll get this going. Folks, let me get your attention for a few. We're going to cover some more subdivided surface techniques, okay? To get us further here. I showed you polygon mesh, the cube. I showed you beveling. And let me just go here to real-time shade, OpenGL. And I beveled, bevel. I beveled on a point, and I beveled on some edges. Edge, F9 like that. And again, you have questions, do ask them. Oop, I got a little extra there, see that? Let me go over here, and I will Control deselect that. Bevel this edge, bevel. Good, and we'll give it a little bit more detail here and something like that. And polygons too. I'm going to show you another subdivision technique called an extrude. Extruding something is generally pushing something through a shape to make another shape. Pastas are generally all extruded. Soft ice cream too. When we're extruding, we're generally taking one of the things we have, like I'm going to take points, and I'll take a selection of points over here. Let's hit F7. I'll take these corner points and these corner points, hit the F key, see if it's nicely framed. No, that's too much, see that? Too much. Let's try that again like that. Ah, yes, I like those ones. I'm going to right mouse click and extrude along an axis, and it will do this. It makes them point out. See that? So it pushes them out. And I get a controller here that lets me stick them out like that. And notice it's what? Yes, Wolverine. Wolverine, probably. A lot of extrusions used on that. The settings on it. Merge is a big one. If I remove it, they all radiate out from where I want them to radiate out from. Skirting ratio is also a big one. That's how big that base part is. And I can subdivide it to get it a little curvier. See that? Oh. If you remember that, we saw that modeler a couple weeks ago, that video, he makes the turbine thing. He takes edges and extrudes them, which is a way to quickly make a turbine thing. Maybe I'll even show you that. If I'm here and I want to make myself a turbine thing, if I went to edge mode, and I selected these edges, and I right mouse click them, and I'll blow this one screen up big just to see it. Hit the F key, right mouse, extrude along axis, and I have the edge of a turbine thing. I'll make it longer. I'm going to turn off my merge, which gives me no difference. How about that? Oh, I can go the other way too, which actually is kind of interesting because it will make holes or indentations, which we can't see so well there, but I'll leave you to experiment with that on your own. What else do we have here? Subdivisions and skirting ratio. I can make them bigger or smaller. Plus I have transforms, another tab, which lets me do things like scale, rotate, and translate the extrude. Yeah, it is kind of neat, isn't it? The reason you see a lot of stuff like this in video games now, by the way, because of these tools. And I can do it on polygons too. You know what? We'll take these two because they're nice and easy and right there. There's a polygon. Here's a polygon. We'll extrude these along an axis like that. The holes can make more sense. If I go to a negative value, you see them actually sort of sinking in there. And I make a pocket, which could be useful. I'll put them back this way. And I have other controls on it. I can also give it more subdivisions to make it a smaller or a bigger thing. And we can also transform those things, right? I'm going to show you one other tool since we're here. It's a polygonal tool. I'm going to take one polygon here, let's say, and I'll take another polygon here, okay? So they're on, let me hold on my shift key and make sure I get both of them. Like that. And now if I right mouse click near them, I get bridging, which actually, in this case, isn't going to bridge, it's going to make a hole. And see how the hole goes all the way through? like that. I'll show you another example because that's gotten all mucked up. New scene. See how easy it is to do new scene? I can get right back to where I wanted to go. Primitive polygon mesh, we'll go with a cube. Cube like this. I'm going to turn on my OpenGL shaders like that. Let's frame it up. Ooh, I'm going to hit R. If my view gets messed up, I can hit the R key and my view will reset. That's one of those keyboard equivalents. Let me go to point mode, and you know what? I'm going to select all the points. And we will extrude all of them like that. Let's turn on our merging like that. We'll stretch them out like this. Make them a little bigger like that. Subdivide them a bit. Good. I kind of like that. And now I'm going to try that bridge operation, but I'm going to take this polygon here, bing, and I'm going to take this polygon here. And let me back out so you see those. And now watch what happens when I bridge them. Right mouse, bridge, bang. They literally make a bridge. See that? Isn't it? And now remember, I can still use all my other tools. Like if I have a point tool here, I could take the 2 points here. I'm going to hit F7. I'll grab this point. And let's frame up our views here so I can see more what I'm doing. And I'll just translate that whole thing up like that. And you see that gets bigger, which I'm pretty happy with. I'll take these points here. Let's see what we have here. Like this, I'm going to hit F7 and grab these points. And I'm going to scale those points. We're probably going to do a global COG. Let's see if I regret that or not. Let's do it from this view. There we go. That whole thing is scaling up a little bit. You see that whole thing becomes bigger. And I can still use the bridge also to poke holes if I take this polygon, F9 here, and this polygon over here, F9 here, and I hit the plus, no, and I hit the bridge key, bridge. I get a hole there. Okay, so that's kind of interesting, yes? Yes, no. Now, I can make it a whole lot more interesting like this. Look at that, it actually looks like I worked on it, right? This is another subdivision technique. It's a different technology of subdivision within the program. And I'm going to talk about it a little bit because it's actually very important to what one does in Softimage. I'm going to go back to my object here. And when we're doing those tools like bridging and extruding and beveling and even that knife tool, which I can use if I want, I'll go like that, we're adding polygons, okay? Meanwhile, the thing that renders our software views can also subdivide polygons, and the power to do it lives off the plus key on the keypad, and only the plus key on the keypad. If I have an object selected and I hit the plus key, it splits the object. And by the way, I'm going to back this out because I happen to know that I can have this show me the number of polygons if I do that. So this is basically the original object as Softimage sees it. When I hit the plus key once, it will take every polygon and split it into 4 polygons, which it's showing us. And if I do it again, it will split each of those into 4 and split each of those into 4, and it will keep going and going. And as it splits them, it heads them to a curvier and curvier environment. I am hitting, and actually watch on the screen there, the plus key on the keypad and the minus key on the keypad, and that's it. If you look right up there on the screen, see me doing it? Plus, minus. And by the way, if I do it over here, it doesn't do it. It's only the plus and minus key on the keypad.
By the way, if you do use the knife,
Yes.
is there something that you can tell it, I want this at exactly 30 degrees?
Yes, that's actually a good question. One way I can do it is I can do it here. I could do a knife tool, and I'll do a knife tool even here. I can use these views, which will always be accurate. So let's say I go from here to here, and you'll see this will affect the object. But if I wanted to enter the value, there's something over here called snapping. I can snap anything to anything. And snapping is generally the idea that I'll make, you know, in Photoshop, I'll make something stick to a grid or what have you. When I turn on snapping here, I have snap to points, snap to segments, snap to facets, snap to reference plane. I'll pick snap to reference plane. We'll click it on, and then I click this on key, and then wherever I click, it should only work on my plane. See how it's just jumping from one to the other? So if I went here, and then I went over, oh, let me click it. I went there, and then when I pull it, it will also only go to an existing snapping place. See that?
So do you have to count the cubes in order to calculate what the angles are? Or?
Good question. And I'm going to show you how we cannot do that. This, by the way, we're starting to get into deeper stuff, which is good. The deeper you get, the better off you should feel, but don't worry about feeling lost. That's totally okay. Everything we're doing, there's a history of. And it's over here under selection. Everything I've done to this object so far is sitting here. Here are my slice operations. If I double click this, it will actually show me the control panel on the slice. From the control panel, I can do this, create grid and connect, which created that grid, which is now controlling the slice. Let me show you what I mean by that. My slice is changing based on where the grid is. And actually, I have to turn off my snapping now because it's getting in my way. So you'll see that this grid, and let's do this. Let's minus this out so that this is the simpler object. This is a perfect example of where I probably want to, I would probably want to start with a simpler scene here. I'm going to do new scene. No. Well, but that's, we can get back there quickly. We can get back there so quickly, it's not worth saving it, right? I'm going to start with a cube. I'm going to turn this on, and I'm going to do the knife quick, like that, okay? Now, I'm going to look in my selection here, and here's that slice op. And now in that slice op, I can have it create this grid and connect. And you'll see here, I can actually change where that grid is. I can enter the values. Let's rotate it 90 degrees. See? I could rotate it 72 degrees in this plane. And the geometry here will, change. See that? So that if I go back to where that grid is, which is here, and I modify it, you'll see that underneath the slice is changing on the object.
So can you only do it like certain degrees in reference to the axis, or can you do it in reference to different points?
You can do it in reference to different points. When I was doing the rotations of it here, I'm in a local axis. If I go global, why is my mouse dying on me? Look at that, isn't that funny? It's literally dying on me. Okay, good. If I go to my mouse there, look, it's watch, see, it's actually, I wonder if we can see it there. It's sort of flashing on and off on me, but of course now it's working. Okay, we'll try it again. Oh, that's bad. Come back to me. I know you're here. There you are, okay. I try to hit escape a bunch, good. It is literally, look, see, you just saw it. See, it's an intermittent. It's a classic intermittent. Is that you? Thank you, Rajiv. Thank you for sacrificing for the cause here. Let's see if we're coming up to us. Come on. Ah, we're lighting up, and we're back. And boy, if our mouse software got this, I would be very impressed. Look at that, our mouse software got it. Good. We're still rolling. Now you have to remind me of the question again.
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't remember it.
Oh, right. It's doing angles, not in reference to the axis.
Reference planes, yes, yes. Here we go, we got that reference plane there. And I can rotate it This is on a local axis. This is on a global axis. And I could switch it back to an additive axis, which means literally I just keep adding to the values. So we'll put like we'll put something, we'll put 1440, which I think is, how many times around is that? I should know this. I do know this. 720 is twice, it's 4 times around. Not that it matters that much, but any of these modes you pick here, global, local, it will change as you're doing it based on that particular object. And even if I move the object, I mean, it gets a little weird when I move it because I have to still be on the surface over here for it to affect it, but I can then rotate it and rotate it globally, locally, from its center of gravity, from a reference plane, from any of those things. So it's very doable that way. Very doable. Now, how do we get it back to this? I'm going to take some of the things with the plus and minus key, and we'll work with trying to make this rock relatively quickly. New scene, no. Do a new scene, not worried about that. I got to get on my plane modes here and turn off a couple things. Global, good. I'm going to start with the cube. Why not? People always start with cubes. I'm going to pick a side, wireframe, polygon F9. Let me just decide which side I want to be which. This is going to be the front of my cube here, so I will just rotate this whole thing a little bit like that. Let me take the top of the thing, F9 here, and I will translate it up like that, and I will rotate the whole thing like this. And I know that this back edge, you know what I want to do? I want to take a point. I'm going to take this point here, I think. You know what? I'm going to take this edge first, and I'm going to move it in the top view here to kind of form the more triangular shape that this is making for me, which I sort of like from a top view. That's giving me kind of what I want. And I'll start doing some subdivisions to it. What do I have to do on the bottom here? I need to do a bulge of some sort. So let's roll around to the bottom of the thing. And I'm going to take this polygon. You know what? I'm going to use my knife tool, actually. I'll select this, and I'll quickly knife this to create another polygon surface there. And then I'll grab this polygon here, and I'm going to extrude it along an axis, which is going to pop it out like that, which I like. I'm going to scale that smaller. Yeah, something more like that. And I'll translate the whole surface back like this. Good. Good. And the front part of that, I'm going to split this here. Let's go to polygon mode again. Over here, I'm going to use the knife tool to quickly create 2 surfaces like that. And I'm going to bend one of these surfaces up. Polygon F9. And let me rotate this surface a little to give it the bend I want it to have. Sort of like that. And let's look at our object right now. It's still pretty simple. I'm going to try that plus key again. When I hit the plus key, the whole thing changes drastically. We see that. But let's see what it's really made out of. First I'm going to hit Alt and plus, which shows me those polygons, but I cannot select those guys. If I go to point mode, I still only have my original points and polygons. I can do this though. I can show the whole, the original object. I'm going to hit Polymesh Holes, and this shows what made it. And now I can use this as a modeling technique. I can, using edge mode, F9, I can select, let's select these 3 edges, these 4 edges, and I'm going to bevel them. And watch what it does to the underlying thing. Do you see that? I'm going to undo it because it's a good effect. I have them selected, I right mouse them, oh, escape. I right mouse them and I bevel them, and that happens, which gets them a little bit sharper. I can also modify a lot about that. I could do this, which will get it even sharper, but also give me way more detail than I probably want. but I could keep working with it that way. And there's actually a lot more to that. If I want these edges to appear sharper, I can do something else. I'm actually gonna, I'm good with that. I have these edges selected. I'm gonna right mouse click them, and there's something called Set Edge Vertex Crease Value. And watch what happens when I slide it. It starts to get very close to that actual shape. As a matter of fact, it can be almost like I was talking about on the Honda Element, how you have the sharp edge with the curves on it. That's a subdivided surface. Interestingly, I can also do this with points. I'm gonna hit F7, select all those points, and now I'm going to right mouse click and set a vertex value on the points, and you'll see they get closer and closer to the original shape. I can get them just slightly off the shape. We could say like that. And then I could start to, I can always go back to my original shape, which is nothing more complicated than that. Or I can keep going. I could say I like this level of detail, and now I could just start going in and selecting my edges and getting things closer to what I want them to be. Let's select these crease values, right mouse them, set crease values, and you'll see I probably don't want them that close. Maybe we'll give them one more level of detail. Ooh, Crashorama, look at that. That subdivision thing we're doing with the plus and minus, that's, strangely enough, it's a very, very, very high math operation. You might not seem it. I mean, remember, this has been a 16 gigs of RAM and i7 processors, and we just bought the farm. Really? At home? At home or here?
At home.
What type of machine do you have, can I ask?
I think it's a Windows.
The processor, graphics card, and RAM. Those are the most important. Tell me this, do you have ATI graphics?
I don't have anything. I just try to install the Subdivide in my computer, and that's all I keep getting.
Something Softimage is very touchy about is the graphics card. And you sort of, I'm not saying you have to know it, but like I have a lot of at home, I have a lot of like Intel onboard graphics, and they're not good. Another big issue, RAM. I don't think, like, just to see it, because you spend a lot of time in 3D, oh, I probably just lost my thing. Although,
I just closed my window, and I got to start over.
well, which is okay. It's okay because, again, that happens. Right here you can see I have 16 gigs of RAM. I'm not touching it. I have, I think these things have 4 processor cores. Yes, okay. But you know, they have like the split thing, but the split thing is really garbage. But you see how it's sitting there at 14%? Mm-hmm. That tells me one processor is doing something nonstop. Because if I take 8 processor cores and I divide them into 100, I get about 12.5% per. And see how that's sitting at 14, 15? That means something is using one whole processor core. And let's see what it is. Oh, isn't it funny? It's me recording me. I should have known that. The VW recording things are what are using that. But which is to say, Softimage is not using that. If we go down and find Softimage. Are they still calling it XSI? They still are.
Lower RAMs maybe? Or?
Well, there's a few things about this that are very important to what we're doing. Number one, this program crashes a lot, and I've said that before, but I want you to think about this. This program crashes so much, they paid programmers to write something that actually figures out it's going to crash, and then puts this little window up, saves your work, and then crashes. So think about how much your program has to crash for you to decide, you know, you guys over there, I don't want you working on fixing the program, I want you working on making a thing so that when it crashes, people don't lose all their work, okay? And by the way, all the big 3D programs have this. Number two, losing this work isn't that big a deal to me because we can get back to it quickly. Generally why it happens is, I think I was, and I wasn't, I think it's good if you're crashing. Like in many ways, crashing means you're using your systems to their fullest extent, and I think that's hugely important. Like if you're not crashing, it was Trent Reznor who said this. That's right, that's right. Do you know that quote? It's a very famous quote, and he's exactly right. Like when his machines would crash, when his keyboard, that's when he got the interesting sounds. So same thing here, if you're not crashing, you're not really using the whole machine. Not that that's necessarily your problem. That sounds more like some hardware problem that is either too little RAM or something tied to the graphics card, but you have to figure all that out. Figure out what graphics card you have, how much RAM it has, and then see from there. Is it a laptop or is it a tower?
Home desk computer.
Something you can do, people do this, you can bring it in. Yeah, bring it in during class and we can play, because we can find a lot more. I'm going to close this because I'm just kind of talking. And actually you see even here, it has another thing where you're supposed to tell Softimage. You can if you, it's up to you. You can send them. I don't think I've ever, I've never gotten a response to these, but I did once make a correction to the manual and I got an email back like, strangely within like a day where they actually took the correction. It was a spelling error, but I was like, wow, they actually listened to that. And you know, this is just all,
2013.
yes, see, they're ahead of the future. See, see, and these are all the other things that Windows is writing because things crash. And look, this is trying to do this. Now, here's the funny thing about it, and I'm going to say no. Because that ran, when you open up again, it's going to say this. Do you say yes or do you say no?
No, I say no.
Oh, and then you're fine, right?
I'm fine momentarily, then after a couple of minutes, then I get that.
That crash again?
Yeah, then I gotta turn it back off.
But
and
that's what it saved. If you say yes, you'll get back what you.
Well, not always. Like I'll hit yes just to see what happens. Very likely, like I've seen things where it actually saves the crash and then it crashes again. I'm just, that used to happen all the time. And to tell you the truth, this is still not, no, it did get, it probably got pretty close to it. But I would say you're always better off saying no anyway, especially at this point, because we're not saving anyway. Like we couldn't even, most of us couldn't say where that file is. I'm gonna stop that. No, I don't want to save. Remember that, when you're done, you close the program, you put your rock back, you go about your life. When you're at home, you use your own rocks. Just, you will pick up much more, much faster by not saving, trust me. Let me knock this out right now. We'll pause this, capture.